We didn't grow up knowing what executive function skills were. Life felt overwhelming. Managing time, staying organized, and feeling stuck made everything difficult. What we didn't realize was that we lacked the skills to plan, prioritize, and break goals into manageable steps. After years of trial and error, we've seen how powerful executive function skills can be. With expert interviews, real stories, and practical strategies, this podcast is the resource we wish we had. Whether you're a student, parent, or professional, we're here to help you unlock your potential. Welcome to the Executive Function for All podcast. There's a strong connection between executive function challenges and young adults who need treatment or additional support. This can be a difficult topic for families, but it is an important one. Today, we're joined by Dave Herz, the co-founder of Wonder and someone who has spent 25 years supporting young adults and families through complex transitions. Dave founded one of the country's first non-residential programs for teens and young adults returning home from treatment, well before this model existed in the broader field. In this episode, we'll talk about how to help young adults rebuild confidence when everything feels overwhelming, the power of small wins, and the signs parents should look for to know progress is happening even when it doesn't feel like it. Dave is a great resource on a challenging subject, and let's begin. Dave, thank you so much for being here and taking the time today.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
One of the challenging things to talk about is that there is a higher correlation between ADHD and substance abuse. And so for a lot of our families, that involves treatment. And so their teenager, their young adult may have to take a step away and go to treatment and come back. And I'm sure for most families, that's terrifying. That thought of, will they ever pass a class again, or will they ever be back on their feet? So I guess I would just like to start and talk about when a young adult is rebuilding confidence after a setback or after treatment, how do you even start?
I like to say it's simple, but it's not easy. So where we start, and we do work with a lot of young adults who are coming back from treatment. I'd probably say 65% of the young adults we work with, it starts with relationship. So it's the one thing that can make parents a little anxious because they want to get started and see results right away. And I get that. But in our model where we match the kids up with a therapeutic coach, we have got to build relationship before we can start working on confidence building. Otherwise, most teens or young adults are going to push away. So in the beginning, like for example, I worked with a true story, we'll call him Jimmy, but he came back from a program, serious anxiety. And we started he loved Mexican food. So we started the first 6 weeks, once a week meeting, we just went to different Mexican restaurants. And through that, we built relationship. And he started to trust me and he thought I was cool. And I showed that I genuinely cared. So once we have that relationship, we're off and running, but we have to start there.
That's a great example. I could see as a parent, right? Like, oh my gosh, my son or daughter is 6 months behind in school.
Exactly.
And we have this stuff and like, we got to go.
Right.
And to go out to Mexican food.
Right.
But that's probably where it starts.
That's where it starts. But you're right. A lot of parents are like, this is what I'm paying for, to be like a friend to go eat. I'm like, no, we have to build relationship and then we can start making progress. So you got to hang in there with us. If the parents are struggling with, you're just going out and eating with my kid, in our model, we also match the parents up with a parent coach to support them. And we let them know, like, look, I know this is anxiety provoking. When your kid went to program, leading up to it was probably horribly stressful for you too. And now that he's back or she's back, we have to support you too in how to manage your own anxieties and how to be in relationship with your kid now. Because if you go back to your old ways before they left, they could go right back. So we're asking you to trust us and do some work as well. And when everybody participates, that's when we start to see success. So we need a little bit of trust to give us a little bit of time before we start working on like with Jimmy, the goal was to get him to want to go to community college and then on to college. He was a high school dropout. And so going back to high school wasn't an option.
Yeah, I can see how parents would neglect their own mental health.
They do. And I get it. I've been there. And so I'm like, I don't want to freaking take care of myself. We got to take care of Jimmy. And I said, well, the best way, and I can say this now that I'm 25 years in, which gives me some experience. Doesn't make me the smartest person in the room, but I have some experience. I can say, look, if you want to help Jimmy, if you participate, success rate's going to go way up. I just know that. I've seen it.
It's so easy for us to talk about. I have this kid with challenges. Right?
Yeah.
I catch myself in this all the time.
Sure.
And often it feels like they have a lot of work and I have a lot of work as well.
Right.
When I first met you, you spoke about getting kids, young adults, whoever that is, small wins after big challenges like that. Can you speak more to that?
Yes, I love to speak about this. So with Jimmy, again, high school dropout, parents had kind of their agenda. I didn't know yet what Jimmy wanted. I don't know if he wanted to go back to school. He certainly didn't say it. Super anxious. And so what we worked on, I said, well, if you don't want to go to school, that's fine, but you're 18. So what about we look for a job? And so that's where we started. So interestingly, his anxiety got in the way of that, but he wouldn't say that. He said, all these jobs are just stupid. If there wasn't stupid, I'd do it. So, but anyway, through the relationship and then also with the parents' help, this is where I needed their help. They were sweethearts, but they were enabling. And so Jimmy was really good at kind of throwing tantrums to get his way, which was typically to get some money to put into his car that he loved. So when the parent coach supported the parents to stop giving money, you don't need an allowance. Go get a job. You're 18. You're not going to school anymore. Well, that helped Jimmy be motivated. He'd be like, Dave, we got to go get a job. I need money to put in my car. Yeah. So this is where the small wins come in. So he could not go do it on his own. Every time I didn't do it, like, how about if I go with you tomorrow? Let's go tomorrow, you and I. So this is back a while ago. So this was before a ton of activity on the internet. So this is back when you went into a store and asked for an application. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So we pulled into like a pet store place because they were hiring. And we sit in the parking lot, and that's where all of a sudden, you see his hand shaking. I'm like, dude, do you want me to go with you? No, I can do it. Okay, well, I'll be right here. So he came back 15 minutes later with the application. That's actually a win. You could see him kind of perk up a little. That's a really small win, but that's a win. You could see it in his energy. And then he said, well, what do we do now? I'm like, well, let's go fill it out. So we went to a coffee shop and I helped him fill it out. That's another win. And then he's like, well, now what do we do? Like, we will go back to the pet store and turn it in. He did that. That's another win. So what I saw on those 3 little wins was you could see him get more confident just in his being. Now, you have the parents over here going, well, when's he going back to school? I don't know. We're going to take it one step at a time. But in these little wins, so again, with Jimmy, what happened after that was that didn't work out. But what I knew about Jimmy was he was a really good athlete in high school. Like a really good baseball player. His anxiety just got to him and he dropped out. So I said, well, I was kind of looking around last night, and actually there's adult softball leagues out at Stasio Field in Boulder, and they're looking for a scorekeeper. And you're just sitting in center field in the scoreboard shack running the scoreboard, which I figured if he's got all that anxiety, this could be a good place to start, right? He's just in there alone and he loves sports. He got that job. Okay, now we have another win. But this is my favorite part. 2 weeks after, and he's going to his job, 2 weeks after that, he calls me and he says, Dave, I got my first paycheck. He never worked before. I said, that's awesome, Jimmy. He's like, so there's another win, right? Well, what do I do with it? You put it in your bank account. He's like, I don't have one. I'm like, let's go get one right now. We go to the bank. And again, I'm not doing it for him. I'm just getting, we've got a relationship now. He trusts me. So I'm just getting him to the next location because I want to make sure that he does it. So he opens a bank account. Now there's another win. Okay. All these little wins, they're starting to show up in the family dynamic. He's not losing his temper at home. He's not shutting down verbally and going to his room and slamming the door. He's talking more with his parents. Like pleasant conversations. These are very noticeable to the parents. So it's a big deal. But the best part for me was, and this is when I learned, like, I want to keep doing this, is that when we were heading to the bank, he literally said to me in the car, I think I'm ready to take the GED. Now, I had never mentioned anything about taking a GED, ever, because I just knew that was a trigger, right? Because his parents, that's all they talk about. So I said, great, well, let's call it Front Range Community College and set it up. Again, it's just little wins, little wins, little wins, little wins. Eventually with Jimmy, that turned into, he did go to Front Range Community College. He got his associate's degree, and got a job and completely self-sufficient and really, really good relationship with his parents.
That is such a great example. Yeah. And that's so well laid out because we have to get stuck in the future, right?
Right.
It's like, I gotta, this, whether it's me or my child, like we have to get a college degree or this or that. It's like, we're taking these massive things with all these steps and you're just speaking to breaking it down into small steps. And I love how you're pointing out the wins along the way. I think that's often what gets lost from my experience. And then kids shut down when they're not seeing the wins themselves.
You're right. Exactly. And when the parents aren't seeing it or sharing it, and that's easy for a parent to do. It's very fair for a parent along those wins going, I don't see him going to school. Who cares that he's sitting in a softball shack? So his parent coach can keep reminding them, are you seeing any changes when he's home? Well, yeah, he's definitely more pleasant.
Yeah.
So what we kind of learned through that is successes build on top of each other. And eventually we can get to a point with young adults where all of a sudden they've had too many successes to fall all the way back to where they were. It just doesn't happen because now they've built, doesn't mean there's not ups and downs, but they learn how to ride them out or learn from them or get back up.
And it's counterintuitive too, because we have these big goals and we're praising like, hey, you got to school on time, you got to work on time, you got a job at softball. It doesn't feel like, okay, if I get a job at a softball shack, I'm gonna have my GED. Like there's no correlation. Right. It all comes back to the confidence you're speaking about.
It's all about confidence.
Yeah. How do you protect that momentum?
I think the most important thing is one, we have to work with the parents because in their fear, they can shatter it, right? By being like, so what, you're working in a softball scoreboard? an 8th grader could do that. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So we really have to support the parents to not fall back into judgment. We have to protect that because in the beginning it's fragile, And then as a coach, we're just keep building them up. Like, nice job, man. What's next?
Yeah. So for parents, would you say that it's just as important for them to have a parent component on top of the child component when your child's coming out of treatment?
90% of the time, yes, 100%. Yeah. Again, I'll tell parents, and again, I've learned this just from doing this a long time. When they ask me, what's your success rate? I say, I don't know. I haven't figured out how to measure that. But what I can tell you is if you participate, success rate goes way up. It's just that simple.
Do you find parents are more defensive as their children in getting help?
Some, for sure. And look, as we get older, we get more set. It kind of depends. If they're coming back from residential treatment and that residential treatment program has required the parents to do some work while their kid's in the program, that makes it more helpful by the time they get to us. But if they haven't, parents can be really locked in. So we really have to work with them.
Well, and again, at the end of the day, it really is a traumatic experience for everybody.
Oh, hugely.
So even, I know you're talking about how important it is to not set the child up, but even for yourself, it would seem like you've been through a lot as well.
Huge. What we try to remind parents, and I can do that now because I'm 63 and I've been through it too, is like, you guys are warriors. This is warrior work. And all that leading up to going to residential is tough.
Yeah.
And I share that with them and they're like, yeah, this has been hell.
Yeah, it's a great way to frame it.
It's warrior work.
Well, and I'm sure there's a huge, it's natural to compare. Everyone tells you not to compare.
Right.
It's natural to compare. Behind the scenes, it's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking. It can be a massive strain on your marriage. It's a traumatic thing to go through to watch your kids struggle.
Coming back to the kid, again, I'm a huge fan of the small wins, tiny habits. Like 9 times out of 10, we procrastinate, it feels like, because we're emotionally overwhelmed.
Right.
It's hard to get a GED. There's a lot of steps involved in breaking it down.
Yeah.
So, we talked about keeping the momentum. I'm sure it's hard for parents to realize that when they see these small wins that their child's on the right path. What's the language you tell parents when they struggle with knowing if the kid's on the right path or not?
We try to just show them. Again, it's like, well, okay, yes, Jimmy hasn't decided to go back to school, but he's got these little wins. What have you noticed at home? Is he different at all? Is his communication different? Is his poor kind of dysregulated behavior changed, and help them see like, oh yeah, like I said before, he actually is more talkative at dinner. In fact, he even shows up to the dinner table more. So we try to highlight, well, these are big deals. This tells us in our experience that his confidence is growing. And again, through experience, if we can keep those going, that's going to turn into something that's going to help him, live an adult life.
Yeah.
So we have to I would rather just show them.
And it's almost like that mirror is how you keep these small wins from being dismissed.
Exactly. Big time.
Beyond small wins, and I love that you reinforce that, because again, this is best practice for everybody.
Right.
Treatment is one thing, but this is best practice for everybody. Beyond small wins, do you have other pieces of advice that you commonly give to families who go through this experience?
I mean, yeah, with the parents, we do. I mean, one of the other ones is you have to build a relationship too before you start sharing this is how important it is that you have to take care of yourself. It's really hard for a parent to hear because it's the last thing you want to hear. I don't need to take care of myself until my kid is doing better. But if you get completely wiped out and you're exhausted and you're running on adrenaline, it's really hard to help. And the other piece we tell parents is we're going to give you guys some tools too. And it's going to take a lot of practice. And if you get it right once out of every 10 times, you're actually doing really well.
Yeah, that's great, Norman.
Like,
what does that mean? Like, take care of yourself as a parent?
It could be 5 minutes a day. Maybe right when you wake up before you go to bed. Now it's actually easier. You get those meditation apps.
Yeah.
They're awesome. I mean, and again, I can feel my own resistance as a parent being, are you really effing telling me that? But we really push that. And just try it. Just try it. It's 5 minutes. Here's the app. Download that. It can be that. It could be like going to play basketball. It could be just going for a 30-minute walk at lunch. These little things help your own nervous system kind of chill out a little bit because they're on trauma mode 24/7.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's a lot of empathy there for them because that's not easy to live like that.
It's warrior work.
It's warrior work.
It's warrior work, man, and this is like trench work, and it can take a while to help parents unwind from that. I mean, they're on stress mode, worry mode 24/7.
Yeah, and I'm sure it was high alert too.
High alert.
Because a lot of the activities you mentioned, I guess that's where my brain went to is, first of all, getting them back to the present moment and not stuck in the past.
Right.
The other one is just kind of calming your nervous system.
It's really key. And you can imagine, too, take a parent whose kid went away, who's had some suicide attempts. That is a hard thing to not worry about that constantly. Is it ever going to happen again? Even as the kids start to heal and shift. So we really have to help them manage them, take care of themselves so they have the energy to connect with their kids.
Well, this is going because, again, I know I'm repeating myself, but it's like, what can I do to help my kid when they get back from treatment?
Yeah.
You go right to them, right?
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of research recently. This isn't in exactly what you're talking about, but it's in the classroom where wherever the teacher's nervous system is, the kids take that on.
They totally do.
Is that your experience from this as well?
Yeah, 100%. They're going to pick up on it for sure. The other thing we really help parents do is also we give them tools, how to set up healthy boundaries, how to hold the line, whether that's curfews or if you relapse or whatever. But the other piece that it's a hard lesson, but it's a great one is once a week, I want you to schedule a lunch or a breakfast or a coffee with your kid, go out, and during that 1 hour, you do not bring up anything about what they're not doing right or the fact that they're still blowing off curfew or the fact that you're worried because they haven't found a job. Don't bring any of that up just for this 1 hour. You can bring it up the others. Just hang out. How's your day going? That
is my number one piece of advice I give parents whose kids are struggling in school. Very scaled back from what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But go on a 5-minute walk every single night and don't talk about school.
Yes, same thing.
And it's crazy hard for them.
Real hard.
And it kind of shakes what you're talking about is a much scaled back. That is the number one piece of advice that I give parents who their kids are struggling or failing in school.
Yeah.
Right. This is very much scaled back from what you're talking about. But, if a kid's struggling in school, my piece of advice is go on a 5 to 10 minute walk with them at night.
Yeah.
And don't talk about school.
It's the same thing.
And it's the parents are like, that was like the hardest thing.
Exactly.
And of course the kids is like, is grandma dying?
I know, what is happening?
Why are we doing this?
Right.
And it's I think we forget how long our kids will need us for.
Yeah.
Beyond this specific challenging situation. And keeping that relationship strong, from my experience, that's the most important piece here.
It's everything. And I do want to acknowledge what you just said. It is that's one of the examples of like, you're probably not going to get it right the first 5 times. You're probably going to fall back into, that kind of finger pointing. Why aren't you doing this? But once you get it, it's going to shift everything. And yeah, your child's going to be like, what the heck's going on here? Yeah. And it's powerful.
Yeah, no, it's funny. Like the parent I was talking to your child, we were like, my kid started to open up and they're like, I'm really into this video game. The parent's like, why do you play video games? You got an F in math. It's like you have to.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Like math grade will come and go, but this relationship is essential.
That's right. And I'll share with you that Jimmy now, who's older, right? He's got a great relationship with his parents, and one of the parents, got very sick, and he was right there for his dad. Yeah. Right there.
Well, that speaks to the parents.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Because I have a very limited experience of what we're talking about.
Right.
But usually that relationship is pretty darn damaged.
That's right.
Throughout this process.
That's right. No, it speaks a ton to everybody. A ton.
What's the correlation between ADHD and executive function challenges and needing to go to treatment from your experience?
I will tell you now, because one of the hats I'm wearing these days, I've worn every hat in the company, is admissions. So I'm talking to a lot of families who are looking into us. And it's amazing how many kids are coming to us who have an ADHD diagnosis. A ton. And I know you had mentioned there's a strong component between ADHD and substance abuse. 100%. And especially with someone who's ADHD that's not getting the proper support, going to a big high school, public high school, is hard, and it can really damage their confidence. So we see a ton of that.
It feels like a combination of impulse control, not planning ahead,
right,
and just getting beaten down, and just trying to do something to relieve some of these challenges. See, it's all tied together, right? It's all tied together,
and it makes me really happy doing this 25 years to see the evolution, and now seeing, people like yourself coming in with very structured, well thought out executive functioning support, and how critical that is for ADHD, for high functioning ASD, for OCD. I mean, these kids need to have some wins. And part of that is they need to learn how to, have successful executive functioning skills. It's kind of critical.
So coming full circle, you spoke to the need to work hard on the relationship. Mm-hmm. You spoke to the need for small wins. But for a student and a family coming out of treatment, from your experience, what are other confidence building strategies that you've seen that would be helpful for families to hear?
So one of the things I ask in admissions when I hear all the struggles and all the challenges and where all the losses have happened is, what does your kid like to do? Well, a lot of it is video gaming, but a lot of it is, the great artist, or loves to draw, or loves dogs, so we really listen to those. And I know this sounds simple, but that gives us as coaches, these are the things we're going to focus on in the beginning, right? So someone who's looking for a job, a lot of them, you love dogs, let's go to the Humane Society. Or let's be a dog walker. So we help them kind of re-tap into things that they like to do, that they kind of let go of. Or we ask them, what are your passions? 9 times out of 10, they have passions they want to talk about. We help them go for those. Those are the things that are going to build confidence more than anything.
Yeah. When it ties right into ADHD, we know we have an interest-based nervous system.
Right.
So we're just trying to align everything we can.
Exactly.
Dave, where can people learn more about you and the work that you're doing?
We're at teamwonder.org. That's where they can find out about us.
I highly recommend your organization, and it's hard work, and it's work that's so needed. So thank you so much for everything.
I really appreciate you having me on the show.
Thank you for joining us on the Executive Function for All podcast. If today's episode brought you any value, please rate us 5 stars and share it with someone who may benefit. And remember, every small step you take builds towards your success. For resources and guidance, visit untappedlearning.com. Keep growing, keep learning, and we'll see you next time.